So to begin drawing your sphere with super loose arms, your whole arm is loose, you're going to lightly draw a circle. Decide on your light source, and that will tell you where highlight will be. Then our core shadow, our darkest part, will be furthest away from the light, and then we will have a reflection over here at the side of the sphere, the furthest away, because the light will bounce off the table basically and bounce back, and you'll have a little bit of light down in here, and then we will have our cast shadow on our surface down here. So to begin, I like to go to the darkest first, just like we did our value shading. And the way I'm doing this is I am contour shading. So I'm not going immediately dark. I'm going to be layering with pencil. So if you think of layering light line on light line, you will be more successful and you won't get that slippery sort of pencil where even with a number 2 pencil, if you don't layer, you will basically get so dark really, really fast, and then it'll be almost waxy. That's a good tip for colored pencils in general, to go light first. Even in the dark areas, you're basically layering light layer after light layer to get darker and darker. And my contour shading is a way of suggesting that this object I'm drawing is an actual object and is 3-dimensional, and I'm moving my pencil along the actual form of what is now a shape, but I'm trying to trick you, the eye, and show that it is an implied or suggested form by using my value. So I'm still layering, and I'm moving back and forth between this mid value or mid-tone, this transitional, staying with my guide that this will be. And also, you can turn your paper. You can turn your paper, it helps you especially with round or wavy forms to stay. So I have left this little bit here thinking it will be a reflection, but I'm not leaving it completely white. It wouldn't be completely white like your highlight. It will be almost white. So once I have this basic idea, and I have my darkest, or almost my darkest, I can still go back and add layers on top of this. I'm now working, the side of my pencil is really nice for this. And if you are working with drawing pencils, your graphite, the number you would start with, maybe the darkest, which would be a 6B, means 6 bold if you think about it like that. It's softer. That's where you get your darks. And then you would end up with maybe the lighter being maybe a 2B. So you work between a 2B and a 4B. I would draw my initial line with maybe an HB or a 2H, which is a harder pencil, harder graphite, so you would have much more, it would be easier to get lighter lines. The softer the graphite, the more you end up with lots of rich, dark lines. So as I get to the highlight, we still have some pencil there. It's just super light, so I'm lightening my pressure. Okay, so I will still work on this, but I want you to also see. So right now I have almost an outline where my highlight, this area right here, and that wouldn't have shadow necessarily there. So when I'm finished this, which I'm not completely, I will go in and clean that up. So I don't see an outline. I see a transition of light to dark. And you might erase too much, like I just did, and that's fine. You can always add it back in. This is a great way to clean up your lines and to not make your piece look like it has an outline. That's going to be very important when you're drawing, that you don't have outlines. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the cast shadow. So my cast shadow, remember, is going to be darkest in the center, and it gets lighter at the tips and sort of fades out. So remember, we're still layering our cast shadow. It basically touches the piece like Peter Pan's shadow that gets sewn onto his heels. And you will, shadows, cast shadows, just like people, they're always the relative shape of what they are shadowing. So see how I'm leaving that little bit of reflection? And I can go back in with my eraser. So right now I'm still not going super dark yet because I want to layer instead of just immediately going in super dark. Oops. Using different sides of my pencil to see what it can do. Don't smudge with your fingers for this. Let's see what your pencil can do, or what you can do with your pencil, I should say. And there we go. And then you can go in and darken your darks and work on your transition more. But that's your basic highlight, mid-tone, where you transition from light to dark, core shadow, reflection, light reflected off the table and bounces back. And this is your cast shadow that gets a little lighter on the edges. The darkest part is about right here. So there you are.